All right, hey everybody, we're going to talk about scale factor really quick. I think some people were having some trouble understanding this section separately from the other, and this is one of the most, this is a very useful thing to understand. It's used, so scale is basically if you're making a map, then you're taking a very large area, a whole state, right? And you're condensing it down to one page. So when you do that, you create it at what they call at to scale, which means a map that is made to scale. Every centimeter or every inch on that map represents a certain number of actual miles versus me just grabbing a piece of paper and jotting down, the map of my property, so that you can find your way to the house, or find your way to the campsite if we were in the country. If it was to scale, then it would be a specific amount of inches or centimeters would equal a certain amount of a certain distance in the actual world. So what we do is we always want to look at the model, the model to actual. Okay, other places where we see this is in this particular thing. They're saying they built a scale model of the Sergeant Floyd Monument. Okay, so that means, if you can imagine, you get your Legos out or something and you build something, and if you build it to scale, then each inch is going to represent the actual number of feet it is tall. But another really important area where we see this is if you ever build your own home someday, or if you're ever into building homes or building buildings of any sort, those are always drawn to scale so that you can actually tell comparisons, right? Like how big is the master bedroom compared to the other bedrooms? It's not just kind of willy-nilly drawn in there. Like every, centimeter or inch of the plans that the architect creates is true to life. So you can compare the size of different rooms in the home, and you can tell how wide the hallway is compared to how big the kitchen is. So things like that. So anyway, without any further ado, let's jump into this. So there's really two different things that they ask. They want to know what is the scale, and the scale is always two, and I'm going to abbreviate, two different units. All right, so we're talking centimeters and miles, or in this particular problem, we're talking about 10 inches. So this is 10 inches for the model, and the actual monument is 100 feet. Okay, now if I were going to actually write the scale, I wouldn't write 10 inches equals 100 feet. I would simplify this, or I need to figure out what does 1 inch represent. So it's kind of like a unit rate in that way. So we can easily simplify 10 over 100 by canceling out my zeros. So 1 inch is equal to 10 feet. And that's all. That's what they want to know. The scale factor is that every inch, if this were our model, every inch would equal 10 feet on the actual model. Okay? Now, the scale factor is the second thing that you need to know, and it is always in the same, It is always in the same units, and that's the key. Okay? So I have to first convert feet. Okay? I have to first convert these feet to inches. Okay? And they do that right here. So 10 feet is 120 inches. Therefore, 1 over 120 is the scale factor. Okay, great. Thanks, Mr. Hines. Now I can answer number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or whatever the numbers are. But that's not what I want you to understand. What I want you to understand is that the first thing, what is the scale, tells you if you're the map drawer or if you're looking at the map, how do I read it? If you're looking at a scale of your home, your parents just built a house and you're trying to figure out how big your room actually is, and you get out your ruler, like how many inches, like my room is 5 inches, how many feet is that? That's what scale is, okay? But the The scale factor is how much bigger is the real thing than the model. Okay, so in this case, the actual Sergeant Floyd monument is 120 times bigger. That's where we get this 1/120. It's 120 times bigger. And we talked about this in class, where I talked about the room and drew it on the board. But again, the scale and the scale factor, two very different things. Make sure that these are using different units and that you figure out what 1 equals, okay? What does 1 equal? So it's like a unit rate. And then the scale factor, again, tells you how much bigger or smaller the thing is. All right, hopefully that was helpful. See you guys later.